Friday, October 26th. If you're joining us, Phillis George and Bill Kurtis here. The air war is on, you know. Britain has ruled out the cut-rate fares for the big airlines flying to London. You can still go cheaply, but the options have been sharply limited, and we're going to check in with our travel expert, Dina Kay, to explain what it means to travelers still in search of a bargain.
And Werner Wolf is lurking outside our door this morning. He'll be in a few minutes with his plays of the week, and I'm anxious to see what he's pulled for the week. And later this half hour, Pat Collins reviews the new Paul McCartney movie. I'm also anxious to hear about that, which features some old Beatles songs re-recorded. First, the news. Here's Bill.
We have some startling new changes being made this morning about the attempted assassination of Pope John Paul. Charges are contained in the indictments of 3 Bulgarians and 4 Turks. Let's get more from Richard Roth in Rome.
Depositing the indictments in a Rome court this morning, investigating Judge Ilario Martella said there had been a second gunman that day in St. Peter's Square. Oral Çelik, a Turkish friend of Mehmet Ali Aja. Çelik is still at large. The outline of the rest of the case was already known. Aja claims he was hired by Bulgarian agents to kill the Pope, promised more than $1 million and assistance in making an escape. The indictments charge 7 men with complicity in the attack on the Pope. Sergei Antonov, the Balkan airline official arrested almost 2 years ago, is the only Bulgarian now in custody. 2 accused co-conspirators left Italy before the case began to break. 4 Turkish nationals are named as Aja's helpers and paymaster, and Aja himself will be brought back into court on charges of illegally importing the gun he used in the crime. He will also be the star witness for the prosecution, repeating under oath his claim that the Bulgarians directed him in the assassination attempt.
In Europe, Bulgaria, I said this many times.
Aja's testimony is expected to be the backbone of the state's case. Legal experts say it could still be as long as a year before the trial actually begins. They also point out it may raise an explosive question without answering it. If the Bulgarians were involved, did the Soviet KGB also play a role? Richard Roth, CBS News, Rome.
Secretary of State Schultz is calling for quick military retaliation against terrorism, but Schultz warned in a speech in New York that such action could cost innocent lives. The secretary says there must be a broad public consensus for fast action against terrorists, but he said the American people must realize that fighting terrorists will not be clean or pleasant. A bipartisan Senate report on the bombing of the U.S. Embassy in Beirut is being released this morning by the New York Times. And the Washington Post also says that it calls the lack of adequate security a tragically simple mistake. The report also is saying that, quote, gates, steel jacks, or parked cars could have blocked the attack. A truck loaded with explosives was able to get within a few feet of the building. Walter Mondale's campaign manager is reported to have told him that President Reagan's lead in the polls appears to be insurmountable. James Johnson, according to this morning's Boston Globe, gave the candidate that news Wednesday evening. He said the momentum shifted to President Reagan again after the second debate. In Miami this morning, fire raced through an apartment building while people slept. 2 children were killed, more than a dozen injured, and the 3-story building was destroyed. Many of the injured broke limbs while jumping from the apartment. One of the 100 residents said there was little time to escape.
The fire started, you know, and in a couple of minutes take our buildings. Only what I can say.
Arson investigators are looking into the cause there. The federal government is another year older, and as Tennessee Ernie Ford used to say, deeper in debt. Ken Pruitt is here with some figures and the rest of the business.
It's the kind of thing that makes you feel a little bit better about the balance on your Visa card bill. The federal government spent $175 billion more than it took in during fiscal year 1984, which ended September 30th. That was $20 billion below the record deficit of fiscal 83, but it puts fiscal 84's red ink in second place by a wide margin. During the 1980 campaign, you may recall, Ronald Reagan said 1983 was the year the federal books would be balanced. Economists blame the deficit for keeping interest rates high. Moderate declines in interest rates lately led to a relatively small drop in sales of existing single-family homes last month, down 1.1%. It was the 5th straight decline, but the National Association of Realtors says sales are starting to level off. A home is going to be more affordable in the future, according to economist David Jones at Aubrey G. Lanston & Company. He says slower economic growth and less upward pressure on interest rates will pull mortgage rates down to the 13 to 13.5% range early next year, and possibly as low as 11 or 12% late next year or early in 1986. Gold this morning in London, $338.15 an ounce, up 75 cents. Silver is down a penny at $7.27. The dollar's higher this morning. The stock market goes into the final session of the week at the 1211 level on the Dow Industrial Average, down 5.5 points yesterday. Most actively traded issue, Mobil Oil. It's been heavily traded this week. Another active, Mesa Petroleum. The rumor mill says Mesa Chairman Boone Pickens is going to try to take over Giant Mobil Oil. The Wall Street Journal a couple of weeks ago had the tantalizing information that Pickens has under retainer Skadden Arps, Meagher & Flom, a leading merger and acquisition law firm, and also a public relations company that specializes in hostile takeovers. So the other shoe is probably going to drop pretty soon.
As Boone would say, here we go again.
Probably after the election. He's busy running the Reagan-Bush campaign in Texas, so after that's out of the way.
Warner Wolf coming up. Actually, Phyllis, I don't know if you've met Warner Wolf, but we're going to give you a look at him right now. Sort of warning. He's a good-looking guy. Let's take a look, and we'll be back.
Oh, man.
The time now, 36 past the hour. Time for Warner's Corner.
American Express presents...
I gotta catch a plane. Projected. You'll see a list of the managers and the various graph form.
I gotta catch a plane. Next time you make plane reservations, use the American Express card and United Airlines Advance Check-In. Because you'll already have your ticket, boarding pass, and seat assignment, you can go straight on the plane. With United Airlines Advance Check-In, you'll have a few extra minutes next time you...
Gotta catch a plane.
The American Express card. Don't leave home without it.
We had our 10th anniversary last week. Made me think about things like cereal. It sounds silly, but I just read about new reports from the National Cancer Institute. Some studies suggest a high-fiber, low-fat diet may reduce the risk of some kinds of cancer. So we made some changes, like eating this, Kellogg's All Bran, because ounce for ounce, no food has more fiber than All Bran. Staying healthy, that's something to celebrate.
Maximum fiber, Kellogg's All Bran.
You can't be calculating without a calculating mind.
Now what? I don't know, but they're doing it fast.
Canon's 350 makes 30 copies a minute.
They're doing it in color. The connivers.
Canon's 350 can zoom to precise image sizes and remember them.
They got it in sets already. Already? They're finished. If they're finished, we're finished.
Canon's NP350, the copier with the calculating mind. For more information, call toll-free 1-800-OK-Canon.
For 50 years, there's been a rather unique insurance corporation. A corporation that insures only one thing, your money. But what makes it even more special is that none of its customers has ever lost a penny. The Federal Savings and Loan Insurance Corporation. Considering all the time you spend making your money, don't you want to guarantee that you won't lose it?
This portion of the CBS Morning News was sponsored by your nearby federally insured savings institution. 38 minutes after the hour.
Now, how's that for a lineup, isn't it? We have the big marathon coming up in New York City today. We should check the weather and, of course, all the ball games for Warner.
And
what do you
Friday.
think?
Yeah, this is Friday for you.
This is it.
Sure.
Only on Friday.
I have to get Warner's opinion on this because the marathon you mentioned happens on Sunday, so today's forecast really is a big one in New York City. About 18,000 people running the streets around 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning, but it should be about 75 degrees and sunny skies. But
no good at all.
The boo of the weekend.
Bad.
Too
really,
warm.
Too warm, sure.
Like,
and
wet.
sun. They don't want that sun. That's terrible.
Well,
Yeah.
let's change that to 60 degrees and cloudy and damp. But let's take a look at the cause of all this confusion across the country. It is summer-like in a lot of places, especially south of Richmond, Virginia, but unfortunately for the runners, some of that heat is going to be moving into the New York area and elsewhere. But I want to talk about rain, and there's still more rain to be falling actually in Texas and portions of Oklahoma and western Arkansas. We just can't shake it just yet. But the jet stream is going to move a little bit higher across the country. It gets a jolt from a cold blast that's entering the Pacific Northwest. There could be up to 10 inches of snow around the mountains of Idaho. So don't be deceived by all these temperatures you'll see for this afternoon, especially in the northern plains. In the 60s as far north as portions of North Dakota. By Sunday morning, you could have temperatures in the teens and actually some snow falling. Beautiful weather down the southwest or the southern plateau, that is. No weather changes in Southern California, Nevada, Arizona, or up to Utah. Salt Lake could have some clouds and showers by the end of the weekend, but the weather to watch in terms of what to look out for this afternoon if you don't like all the heat down south, there's a little bit more to come. Some of these locations have had temperatures around 85 degrees, especially in Georgia and South Carolina. More heavy rain and thunderstorms crossing Texas. One more day is what it looks like. And the cold wave, you're just about to feel it, especially up in the Pacific Northwest. That's a look at the weather. Here's a look at some temperatures and forecasts for some locations around the nation.
More rain and gray skies for us here in the TV8 viewing area. A 70% chance of rain likely this morning with mostly cloudy skies this afternoon, highs near 70. More of the same tonight and tomorrow. A low tonight between 55 and 60, and high temperatures tomorrow between 70 and 75.
This is Friday, and of course it's a big sporting weekend. We do our football regional forecast for weather watchers at the Boston College game. Sunny and warm, 70 degrees, and a big change in New England weather. Now, some of these are night games, as in West Virginia with Penn State, clear and pleasant, 67 degrees. We'll move on, and we'll take you to the Southwest Texas at last. Really does get a break with partly cloudy skies at College Station in 72. UCLA goes to Arizona at night, partly cloudy and 68 degrees. And that's as far as I'm going to go with a football forecast of probably more. Bill?
Well, Phyllis,
yeah.
maybe I should formally introduce you to Warner Wolf over here.
I've been a fan of Phyllis for years. In fact, wasn't your father Gorgeous George?
Yeah. It was my uncle.
The name gets around. It's a big family.
Right. Lovely family. All of my relatives are in Denton, so I doubt it. What's happening this weekend?
Well, I'll tell you, I've got the Boo of the Week, Phyllis. The Boo of the Week goes to the National Football League overtime rule, which is unfair to the team that loses the flip. For example, let's go to the videotape, Sunday's Dallas Saints game. Here it is, overtime. Well, wait a minute, you got the Brigham Young game first. Well, you want to show that? That's a guy jumping off sides. Look at that. How about that? I'll tell you, you know what you showed? You showed the Brigham Young, New Mexico game last night. So you don't want to see the overtime flip. Well, that's the way it goes. All right, as I was saying, once again, let's go to the videotape, the Dallas Saints game. This is the overtime, the flip. The Cowboys won the flip. Well, here we go. And there's the kickoff. McSwain returned it to the 29-yard line. 8 plays later, after moving 47 yards, Septian kicked the field goal right here, and the Saints never saw the ball. This would be like a baseball game. The visiting team scoring in the top of the 10th inning. Game's over, and the home team never came to bat. Change the rule. Both teams must have the ball at least one time. If you win the flip and score, then you have to kick off to me. If I don't score, the game's over. If I do score, then the next team that scores wins. At least both teams would have the ball at least one time. All right, you want to see that play we just saw again? See, they were so anxious to show that play, that's why it came on. We've all seen guys jump off sides. Look at this. This is on the extra point. Look at this guy, Jeff Apodaca. Believe it or not, he made it back without being off sides. In fact, he drew Brigham Young off sides. That was it. So you saw it twice. All right, 22,000 showed up to see wrestling at Madison Square Garden. Let's go to the videotape, Monday night's wrestling. First of all, Dick Murdoch takes the Wild Samoan's head. Boom, against the ropes. Wait a minute. One more time. Samoan says, is this what you're trying to do? Boom, that's it right there. Then Samoan picks up Murdoch. Boom, the atomic drop, and Murdoch walks it off. All right, Tito Santana against Greg Valentine. Santana pounds out Valentine right here without even taking the robes off. And then he takes on Albano. Captain Lou Albano goes down. Then it's Rocky Johnson punching out former weightlifting champion Ken Patera. Look at this. Down goes Patera. And then it looks like it's going to be a pin for Rocky Johnson, but no, that's it. Over the back, and Patera wins it. And now, a new face, Brutus Beefcake in the zebra pants against Tony Gurria, a good friend of Phillis George. And then Hulk Hogan against Big John Studd. And Hogan puts down Studd, and Hogan holds on to his title. Wrestling at the Garden. All right, let's go to the videotape, the plays of the week. Here we go. First of all, the best diving catch of the week after a broken pass pattern. John Elway to Steve Watson, and it's touchdown Broncos. The fluke touchdown catch of the week. 49 seconds left. Colts, Mike Pagel runs out of the pocket, does not run over the line of scrimmage, throws off the hand of Sam Washington into the hands of Ray Butler, who scores, and the Colts win 17-16. The best catch of a field goal into a trash bag. Jim Beach of the Bengals, and it is in the bag. The best impromptu shot of the week. Larry Bird of the Celtics drives off balance, throws it up and in. The punch of the week. Terrence Ali. Look at this left hook. Boom. Down goes his opponent, who, believe it or not, gets up, survives the fight. And Phillis George was at the game, demonstrating her new outfit and hairdo, which she will wear this week on the NFL Today. Until next Friday, this is Warner Wolf.
Well, is this? Do you pick on people on Friday?
No, that means I love you.
Well, you know what? I love you. You are more fun to watch than a football game, I have to tell you. But thanks for the plug about the NFL. I'll be back on there this Sunday. And you're going to watch, of course,
Oh,
aren't you?
absolutely. Sort of our answer to the Chicken Man right here live. We're going to talk about those discount fares that have been shot down in midair in a moment.
This portion of the CBS Morning News is sponsored by the investment firm of Smith Barney. They make money the old-fashioned way. They earn it.
John Houseman for the investment firm of Smith Barney.
Whatever happened to that old-fashioned American work ethic? Some people still have it. The investment firm of Smith Barney has it. They know how much digging it takes to uncover one good stock, one good bond, and that's why they're among a handful of top investment firms singled out for their work in research. Smith Barney. They make money the old-fashioned way. They earn it.
Our first house.
Ready for our first meal?
I'll find the silverware. You'll find the kitchen.
Dinner classics from Armour. They're not ordinary frozen dinners. They're elegant meals like boneless beef short ribs with parsley potatoes and crisp green beans.
William, see if you can find the good silver.
Good silver?
Dinner classics. So good, they belong in the dining room.
So, this is gonna be the dining room.
If you like Silverstone on your fry pan, you'll love Silverstone on your saucepan. And for the same good reason. Most foods won't stick to Silverstone. Even sticky foods like glazed carrots, rice, or macaroni and cheese won't stick to the long-lasting Silverstone surface. And that makes cooking easier and cleanup faster. Remember, what's good for the fry pan is good for the saucepan. Without this seal, it's not Silverstone, the durable nonstick from DuPont.
Now you can move beyond Theragram M, beyond Myadec, beyond Centrum. Now there's one that has it all.
The one that has it all, one a day, maximum.
All essential vitamins are here. Even vitamin K.
Maximum.
All the minerals in the U.S. RDA are here too. And more.
Maximum. The one that has it all, one a day, maximum.
12 before the hour. You've seen the newspaper ads like this. They did the trick, really. They convinced more than 135,000 people to buy those cheap flights to London. Now the trick is on them, because some airlines will be allowed to honor the tickets, but some won't. Now the decision comes from Britain, whose government ruled that major airlines must cancel their plans for cut-rate fares while smaller ones may keep them. We've asked our travel expert, Dina Kay, to help us understand all this. She's in our Washington bureau this morning. Good morning, Dina.
Good morning.
What is this going to mean to the consumer?
Well, these airfares were sold pending government approval. The CAB approved them, and as you know, yesterday the British declined. But it's not as serious as it sounds. After all, you have one more week to decide what your alternatives are. You haven't been stranded and you haven't lost your money. So anybody holding a ticket on Pan Am, TWA, or British Airways has 4 clear-cut choices. The first choice that you have is to pay the difference between the airfares in question, the cut-rate fares, for example, from New York, $378, to the next lowest approved airfare, which is approximately $200 more. Your second choice is simply to cash in your ticket and get your money back. Your third choice is to fly the approved discount airlines, People Express, which is, of course, the world's fastest-growing airline. Your second choice for the discount airline is Virgin Atlantic Airlines. They fly out of Newark with that very, very low fare. Your fourth choice is simply wait and see what happens and hope that the British change their mind. In talking to several of the airlines last night, it's clear that there is still some confusion on their part as to what to do with your tickets. The bottom line is the CAB says those tickets are no good.
Why wouldn't the British go for this? It seems like it would mean more business for them.
That's kind of a questionable issue. Ostensibly, the British objected to it on the basis of what is in the airline business called predatory price setting. This means prices are set low, below cost, so the intent is to knock the competition out of business, in this case, Virgin Atlantic. And the precedent, as you may remember for this, is Freddie Laker's SkyTrain Airlines, which went out of business several years ago. And in fact, the CAB thinks this may be the underlying issue. And our Justice Department is in the process of doing some investigation to see if there is collusion between major airlines, American and British, to have knocked Freddie Laker out of business.
I was going to say that they started the whole thing with Freddie Laker in the first place.
Indeed.
What does this really mean for the low fares? Is this the end?
It means that this winter we may not have those wonderful low fares to Europe from major U.S. gateways, but in general it means the trend is still towards lower airfares.
Well, Dina Kay, thanks very much reporting from Washington. We're going to take a look at the Paul McCartney movie, a review by Pat Collins in a moment.
It's now 9 minutes before the hour, and in our next hour, actress JoBeth Williams. We'll cook a real Sunday dinner, and runners Greta Weitz and Bill Rogers on the eve of the New York Marathon.